How are we doing, everyone? We've got the Bulls taking on the Bucks in Game 2 of the NBA playoffs later this evening. A late start, by the way. Don't forget it starts at 8:30. But you guys also know that it's Wednesday, and every Wednesday on this channel I do a series where I feature and react to your Bulls hot takes. And this could very well be the last one for a while. As most of you know, I am expecting the birth of my child any day now, and we'll be taking some time off to spend it with my family. Also, stay tuned later on in this video as I will be announcing a season-ending giveaway. But for now, let's get into some of these takes. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, the first one, which comes to us from Anthony Day to Davis, was in the Hot Take channel on the Discord, and they've listed it as an unpopular opinion, which I guess is kind of a hot take. But they said, if the Bulls re-sign Zach, they should look to trade DeRozan while his value is so high. Having two heavy scorers that want the ball in their hands that don't play defense isn't going to win games, especially in the playoffs. Now, I appreciate the take because it's a unique one, but yeah, I disagree that having those two won't win games. The Bulls won 46 games this season and still won 46 games despite going through the year with a lot of injuries. And this notion that Lavine and DeRozan don't fit together because they are both heavy scorers, I don't buy, because throughout NBA history, you have seen two dominant elite scorers on a given team, and they have done well. Where I do agree is that, yes, both of them being heavy scorers, but both not being good defenders, that is an issue, especially when your third option on offense in Vucevic is also not the best defender. It puts the Bulls in a really bad place in terms of how their offensive and defensive schemes are run. But either way, between DeRozan and Lavine, I mean, it was clearly working, especially at the beginning of the season. These two did fit well together. People were talking about the Bulls being contenders when they were leading the East, so both of them together can still produce wins. Now, you mentioned if the Bulls re-sign Zach, that they should trade DeMar while his value is high. Now, that's an interesting take, because even for all the negative takes on DeRozan the other night about him choking in the playoffs when he went 6 for 25, you never saw anybody say, well, we should trade DeRozan, although I'm sure comments like that were probably being thrown out. But the reason I say it's interesting, though, is because you're right in that DeRozan's trade value is going to be high. Maybe not as high at the beginning of the season when he was playing at an MVP level, but he's likely still going to make an All-NBA team. He still put up crazy scoring numbers on insane efficiency for the season and really led the Bulls back to relevancy. Yeah, I would say there would be teams interested in snagging a veteran elite scorer who can offer you a great mid-range shooting game. And now you also look at his contract relative to what he was able to produce. It almost looks like a team-friendly deal, especially with only 2 years remaining after the season. Again, I don't think his value is going to be as high as some probably think, especially if he keeps putting up the numbers that we saw the other night in Game 1. But yes, you likely could get a good return for DeRozan, but in my opinion, it's likely not worth it. I really can't see the front office making that move after everything they built this past offseason and having DeRozan the centerpiece of the offseason transactions. Next, we've got Benjamin S. Zach peaked last season and his career is on the decline. Oh, geez. Bulls fans are so funny sometimes, man. I wouldn't say Zach peaked last season. I do think he is in the peak of his prime, and you're likely seeing his ceiling now, or at least close to it. But I don't think Zach taking that next step to superstardom like some fans think he will, I don't think that that's going to happen. But to say his career is on the decline, no, definitely not. He's only 27, and it's going to be a while before we see a true decline from Zach Lavine. And I know some will say, well, look at his numbers this season compared to last season, and it's clear he's on the decline. Well, no, his numbers dropped slightly because the Bulls actually added talent around him, and he's not carrying the team all by himself. Not only that, but he's suffered an injury in the back half of the season, which sure, I guess if you're concerned that injuries are a cause for concern and could cause the decline of his career. But I just have a hard time seeing that at his age. Again, I don't really see Zach going much higher in terms of his overall career, but I think probably seeing the best of Zach Lavine right now, but he's going to remain at this level for some time and isn't already on the decline. Next, we've got 2021-22 Bulls fan. Lowry Markkanen trade is one that we'll regret soon. I'll be quick on this one because I feel like I addressed a similar take to this recently, but in short, no, the Bulls are not going to regret that trade because, first of all, it was pretty clear Lowry wanted out anyway. He wanted to go somewhere else. He wanted to have a bigger role and wanted to get paid more than the Bulls were willing to offer him. So Lowry was likely leaving for nothing if the Bulls were not able to execute a sign and trade. Like, I think people forget that he was a restricted free agent. And if he got an enticing offer that the Bulls weren't willing to match and they weren't able to negotiate a sign and trade, the Bulls lose Lowry for nothing in return. Instead, they got Derrick Jones Jr. on an expiring deal, who has been a nice piece off the bench for the Bulls, and they got a first-round pick. Like, I don't know how they would regret that when Markkanen wasn't staying with the team anyway. And it's not like Lowry is balling out with the Cavs. I could see if he was playing at an all-star level, then yeah, that's tough to swallow if you're the Bulls, but the guy is averaging 14.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds on 44% shooting, and the guy still couldn't make the playoffs. Next, we've got Eli Perkins, Mark Jackson for head coach, and we trade Vooch and Coby for Rudy. If not, trade Coby and a couple of bench players for a good power forward and sign Cousins to a one-year deal. Hell no to all of this. No, Mark Jackson would not be a good coach for the Bulls, and really in general, it's part of the reason that after all of these years since getting fired by the Warriors, that he still hasn't been offered another head coaching position. And then trading Coby and Vooch for Rudy Gobert, I feel like we had the same trade proposal last week. This isn't 2K, guys. The Jazz would never go for that trade. They would never trade their perennial all-star, all-NBA player, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year for an aging Vucevic whose trade value isn't very high right now. And Coby White, like, no, it's not happening. And then DeMarcus Cousins, no, pass. All right, before I get into the next one, I did want to talk about the giveaway for the end of the season, which, yes, I realize the season is not over for the Bulls, but I've got a baby coming any minute, and I wanted to make sure I get this out before she comes. So appreciate those who have listened this far into the video, and the giveaway is going to be pretty simple. In the comments, I want you to tell me your most memorable moments from this Bulls season. Leave one comment only, and after the first 24 hours, I will be taking all of the individuals who left comments and putting them into an online generator to draw a winner to receive an NBA jersey of their choice on me. I will then contact that individual and have the jersey sent to them directly. So if you want to be included in the giveaway, feel free to leave your comment below and you'll automatically be included. But now that we got that out of the way, let's get back into some of these takes. Next, we've got Antonio Strait. Coby White will be a plus defender in his prime. He has the effort, the drive, and quickness and size. He's just not mentally there yet. Well, if you mean a plus defender like he'll be a better defender than he is today, then sure, like you would hope that as his career progresses, he'll at least get marginally better on defense. And we did actually see Coby look a little better on defense this season at times. But if you're saying he's going to be a plus defender like one of the better defenders in the league, I don't really see that. Yes, he has the quickness. I wouldn't really say that he has the size, especially with his shorter wingspan than most guys his height. The drive, I mean, that's something I do question a little more with Coby. Like, I do think he is a motivated player, but there are times where I don't see him hustling and wanting it more than others, and it makes me question whether he really has the drive to get better on defense and not just be a one-dimensional player. I hope I'm wrong in that regard, because a more well-rounded Coby White who can also play defense would be a very solid player and someone the Bulls could certainly use. Next, and somewhat related, Coby gets traded to Charlotte in the offseason. Because he went to North Carolina and is from North Carolina. I mean, sure, but only if there's a trade that makes sense. Trying to think who the Hornets would be willing to trade for Coby. I guess if they wanted to give up on Book Night and the Bulls would want to take on a young rookie who has some potential, maybe. Plumlee is another option to give the Bulls some added size, but I really don't want Plumlee. Maybe a first-round pick. That might be nice considering the Bulls don't have their first-round pick in 2023. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing it. Unless Michael Jordan has his heart set on Coby White and gives up too much for him, which, let's be real, Jordan has been known to do at times. Next, we've got Brandon Rogers. This year's playoffs will be Patrick Williams' coming out party. He will be known more in the national media after this series. Now, I know this take came before game 1, so I should add that as a qualifier, and I, like you, really felt this was going to be an important series for Patrick. Maybe not a coming out party where he explodes and lands on the national scene, but a series where he really starts to get that experience and confidence under his belt and shows up as the Bulls' 3rd or 4th option in the series. Now, that can still be the case given we've only played game 1, and my hope is that you see Patrick be more aggressive in calling for the ball, taking more shots, moving and cutting to the basket. We really need his scoring, especially with the way the Big Three shot the other night. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a breakout series for him, but I do think that game 2 and beyond, he will come in more aggressive and turn some heads in the national media. Also, another related one. Next up, we've got Thomas the Baller. Patrick Williams will lock up Giannis to only 15 points. That take didn't really age that well. We saw in game 1 when Giannis went for 27 points on 10 for 19 shooting and 16 rebounds. Yeah, I mean, there's no way Patrick Williams would lock up Giannis to only allowing him to score 15 points per game in this series. There's just no way. That's not a knock on Patrick. That would even apply to some of the best defenders in the league. Giannis is one of those players in the NBA that quite simply cannot be stopped. Maybe for a game or two, but an entire series only having him average 15 points per game? There's just no way. I don't care if you're Rudy Gobert trying to lock down Giannis. He's still going to get his. All right, anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there for this edition of Bulls Hot Takes. Don't forget to leave your most memorable moments of the season in the comments to be included in the jersey giveaway. Of course, as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated. And of course, don't forget to tune into Game 2 tonight. And feel free to join the live game chat as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one.